Welcome back to another Three Things with TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm staff writer Chelsea Sipple, and this is staff publisher Andrew Jones. And we're still here at the Deanie Smith Center. We're just in different locations right now. I'm in the hallway right now with the 2005 National Championship background. AJ, where are you again?
I'm in the players' lounge. You have the Marvin Williams putback photo behind you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I know it will come as no surprise to you, Chelsea, that I covered that game. And when he scored that basket, Carolina won the ACC title, regular season title, with that win, beating Duke. That was the 05 team that won the national championship.
Oh, wow.
And that was the loudest I've ever heard the Dean Dome ever when he put that shot in. So
some history. Yeah, that was the year I was born.
That was 2005. Yeah. So that was,
yeah.
Gosh, it was 19. Yeah. Thank you for making me feel dirt old.
Oh, crazy when you put it like that. Yeah. Well, today for our Three Things, we'll be talking about UNC versus Campbell, UNC 97, Campbell 81. And I think the first of these three things today, and we'll talk about this later with RJ Davis, who just hit all-time for UNC threes. But later in the game, he found his stroke and started to get some shots down and scored 23 points. And then we also saw Ian Jackson kind of get comfortable and follow behind that, who had a career high of 26 today.
Yeah. All right. Jacob and I done a lot of videos, but I'm sidebarring like a big dog here, where we would stand up and do it, and they're putting the seats back and everything. Well, yeah. I'm in the players' lounge, and I think you could probably hear it on the video. So if you're wondering what that racket is, they're putting the seats up so the players can practice, and there might be a couple of them coming through here right now. Anyway, so that's what that racket is out there. As far as what RJ did, RJ is starting to look like RJ.
Yeah.
And I talked to him about that tonight because some of his buckets were that pretty step back that he has. It's not just a step back three. He's finding ways to get that off 15 feet, 12 feet from the basket. He said he started feeling like himself in the Florida game again, and I concur. He looked it, and he looked it tonight. And it doesn't matter who it was against. He needed to see rained threes with arc go through the basket because a lot of his threes had been sort of on a line. So he looked a lot like RJ tonight. He wore the pink shoes.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to ask him about that. I did. And I said, last year when you wore the pink shoes, you were scorching for a while. And he said, well, I don't want to be too superstitious, but, it did work for me. So I suspect we'll see pink shoes in Louisville on Wednesday on RJ's feet. But he got them going early, and it was good to see him get stuff to go through early because I think even as accomplished as he is, he's human. He's going to press some when he misses early shots. And a lot of games he'd miss his first 3, 4, 5 attempts. Well, he was 4 for 4, I think 4 for 4 tonight, or 3 for 3 tonight, and 2 for 2 from the perimeter. He had 1 3 that he got fouled on and went to the free throw line. And he did set the record with his second 3 tonight, became the all-time leader, passing Marcus Page, his coach and mentor, and someone he grew up watching a lot at North Carolina. So it's a big moment for RJ. I think it's a big moment for this team that RJ feels like RJ again. And I asked him, I said, you need to be that guy now that ACC plays here. For you guys to achieve your goals, you have to be that guy. He knows it, but he responded in a different way than he would have maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. You could feel the pressure. He talked about headspace a lot. He hasn't mentioned headspace the last couple of times I've talked to him. That's a very good sign. As far as Ian goes, and this is it's so good that you brought that up because Hubert said part of the reason why RJ –
I was just going to say.
Well, you go ahead because you heard what Hubert said.
Well, yeah, that's what stood out to me was he was saying RJ was seeming more comfortable because he has someone else out there scoring, and you kind of look at it from last season when he had like Cormac and guys like that. He's got this other option now where RJ can be RJ.
There's no doubt that that's freeing him up some.
Yeah.
And I think that it's safe to say Ian Jackson is here to stay. And what I mean by that is he's a guy that they're going to look to produce now. He's not just can you get – 6 to 15 from him off the bench or whatever the case may be. I think that they need to get a lot of points from him because it helped them beat UCLA, who, by the way, beat Gonzaga this weekend. Now, I don't think overall this was a great performance by the Tar Heels tonight, but it was an encouraging performance because Ian's starting to show them he can be that guy. He could be one of the dudes. RJ starting to feel like RJ, and you saw them complimenting each other with each with scoring binges. And I think that's what's going to have to lift this team to victory a lot of the time here in the next couple of months, Chelsea, is they're going to need guys to go in scoring binges because they're not great defensively. They're not great on the glass. They don't get a lot of conventional points in the paint, but they do get points in the paint through the drive and stuff. So in order to do that, they need a guy going off for a while. That's what's going to be their recipe to success. If they're going to beat teams like Duke and Pitt and win at Clemson, they're going to need to have a couple of dudes be dudes on those nights. And we've seen now that the two of them in the same game can be dudes. They're going to need more help. But you've got to have those first couple of steps first. And I think that's what this team might be morphing into. So the two of them having the offensive games they did, and I don't even know how many assists Ian had. I think he had a couple. He had 4 coming in. Yeah. How many did he have? Do you have the stats right there?
Not
I don't have the stat sheet up. Well, you know what? I'm going to scare the viewers and put my glasses on. I'm going to take a look at the box score real fast. Ian had 1 assist, okay, but I thought he may have had another one. Maybe he just didn't get it, but I thought he was sharing the ball in some good spots tonight. Mm-hmm. And part of the Tar Heels having some success swinging and rotating the ball is because Ian didn't get it and just dribble and try to score every time. So we're seeing some maturation in his game. We're seeing him learn to play a little bit more connected. And now that he and RJ can be comfortable putting up big scoring numbers together in the same game, and do it being who they are, and I think accentuating who they are, that's a very positive thing. To me, that's the most positive thing out of tonight. I could take away from tonight's game for the Tar Heels.
That's a good one. Well, speaking of swinging the ball, our second thing of this 3 things is how the second half of this game, Carolina came in with the intent to go inside more, which led to down low scoring by Washington. And Cadeau got a lot of assists up in there. He had 12 tonight and 9 in the second half.
Career high. 12 is his career high.
Career high.
The second half. Yeah. Point of emphasis. He had 3 turnovers at halftime. Hubert said that he made sure Elliott knew, because Elliott told him before the game he wasn't going to have any turnovers, but Hubert also told him he was going to have a double-double, and he did. So I think Elliott had 12 points, 12 assists. What I like about what you brought up there, and this is very important, but it's also going to be a baby step process all season, simply because they don't have a Baycott down there. They don't have a Zeller or a Hansbrough or even a Kennedy Meeks. Nobody like that. They don't have that guy, or even a Garrison Brooks for that matter. So they're going to have to get a lot of buckets conventionally from the post when they're called by Hubert. And I had talked to Jay Wash tonight, Elliott, especially the two of them, about getting those buckets. And it was a point of emphasis coming out at halftime to get the ball inside. Jay Wash posted. He said that he and the other bigs have to do a better job of making themselves available so the guys in the perimeter will get them the ball. That's part of it. But Hubert, on the second assist that Elliott had to Jay Wash, Hubert just exploded. Usually when he stomps the foot, he's either mad at an official or he's mad at a player. He stomped the foot in excitement. And I told Elliott, I said, what did he say? He goes, I don't remember him saying anything. I said, go back and watch the video and watch the stomp. Watch his reaction with the second one. Because he that's what he wanted. He needs Elliott to see the entry. I think part of the problem why Elliott's been committing a lot of turnovers is he's not using the whole floor because they're not using the whole floor. So a lot of his passes defenders are getting hands and stuff on them. They're more challenging. The degree of difficulty is higher. When you're able to use the post, and then teams have to worry about having an Ian Jackson and RJ Davis in the perimeter, suddenly there's more lanes. There's more space to complete the pass from point A to point B. Now what they need is for bigs to be able to get it, be honored and respected by defenses to be able to turn and score. They got those 2 buckets that time. Jay Wash missed a jump hook, but the fact that he got that, you know how many jump hooks we've seen this year? Like 5 or 6, maybe? Yeah. Maybe. We would see 5 or 6 from Armando in a game. So that was a big, big sign, and Hubert was so excited. And I thought it was interesting when I asked Hubert about that and about excited that Elliott was able to see it. He said that he called those 2 sets. He called those plays specifically to get the ball into Jay Wash because they understand that they have got to be – it's like in football. You got to have a ground game. You can't just throw the ball all the time and be successful. They need a ground game. and they need to be able to get some stuff in the middle. Whereas when an entry goes in, it doesn't have to result in points right then and there. The ball can be rotated and defenses are forced to move. If you're forcing teams to drop a guard to double on a big in the post, then you're opening up other stuff. And this team can feed off of that. So it is mandatory that they at least become respectable in the half-court offense down in the lower block. And I thought that there was a commitment to that early in the second half, and they did have some success with it. I know it was Campbell. I understand that. I think that's one of the reasons why Jay Wash played so much tonight. But at the same time, they got to do it against somebody. So now with ACC play for the next 19 games left in the regular season, they're going to have to do it in some of those games. Otherwise, they're going to force themselves to be in a position, Chelsea, where they're going to have to outshoot people from the perimeter and fast break them. Campbell didn't let Carolina get in transition tonight. And you know that other ACC teams aren't either. So that puts so much pressure on your ability to drive and score and draw fouls without turning the ball over and committing offensive fouls and hitting threes. They need to add that other element to be a team that contends for anything significant moving forward. And clearly that was the mission in the second half tonight. And it was in the mission in the first half, but a lot of other stuff was working. They didn't have to go to it as much. So I think that that's another positive thing to take forward. It's a small little sliver, but a small sliver with respect to the front court right now is a big sliver, all things considered.
Absolutely. And AJ, I think this is a great lead to this. Again, we've talked about how RJ's getting more comfortable. We saw Ian Jackson follow after the second half intent. But what does Carolina get out of this for our third thing?
That. I mean, we hit on those three things. Yeah. I don't think the Tar Heels were good defensively tonight.
No.
I know what Campbell shot in the first half, but Campbell was shooting the ball well early. They had a lot of opportunities. Carolina's just did not defend the paint well. There wasn't much closing out on the shooters. This was, a tough night for Drake Powell defensively in a lot of ways. And then the second half, Campbell shot 60%. This club has to be better defensively too. There are a lot of things that they must be a lot better at moving forward to have any chance to play their way into the NCAA tournament through the ACC. Because as bad as the league is, as down as the league is, if you start looking at the 10 road games remaining in ACC play, I don't think there's more than one or two that you can chalk up right now and say those are absolute wins. They're going to have to find ways to play well enough defensively. They're going to have to find ways to be even or a little plus on the boards. They're going to have to get some kind of post offensive scoring, not just to get those points from those guys, but to force defenses to honor everything, which is going to open up stuff for the guys who can score a lot, and it will enable them to have less contested stuff. So I think what they got out of it was they got enough samples of the blueprint offensively of what they need to be. It was another game where they're going to pick at the defense because I don't think they were very good defensively tonight. Campbell scored 81 points. Campbell came in here number 315 in the net. This was by far the worst team on Carolina's schedule tonight. They only won by 16 points. They did not have a knockout punch. They did go up 29 or 27 at one point.
29 was their highest lead.
Okay, but they've got to be able to close this thing out. And they needed to for their KenPom numbers. And the KenPom numbers are important because the people on the selection committee look at that. And remember, Bubba Cunningham, the AD here, is the head of the selection committee. He will not be in the room when North Carolina is discussed. There will be no allies in there. So the Tar Heels are going to have to impress, and they have to fix some of these things in order to be that team. So the blueprint for what must happen a lot moving forward and the blueprint for what must be fixed was on display tonight. I think if you're just a casual observer of basketball, didn't know much about Campbell, and you're just a big fan of Carolina and you don't dissect the game, you'd be happy with the performance. They scored 97 points. There were a lot of pretty plays out there. The highlight reel will be longer than usual, but there were also a lot of things out there that simply must be better for this team to win at Louisville on Wednesday. And quite frankly, I think in order to win at Notre Dame, they have to be better in some of those areas.
Yeah.
And moving forward, they got SMU coming up next week. That's a good team. And that club, that SMU club tonight would have given this team a run for its money in the Dean Dome, given how the Tar Heels played. So they must get a lot better, but at least seeing some positive things and how it's supposed to be done is what they can take in the bank and move forward with it. And based on what Hubert told us afterwards, Chelsea, sounds to me like that's what he's doing. And that's what he will do.
Yeah. Well, AJ, you said it best. That concludes our three things. We'll be back next week. Again, UNC tonight, 97, Campbell, 81. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. This is TarHeelIllustrated.com. Again, staff writer Chelsea Sipple, staff publisher Andrew Jones.
Thanks.